Welcome back to another episode of Play by Play presented by Win or Lose Sports. Today's guest is Lionel Armstead, head coach of the boys basketball over at Clay High School. I met Lionel a few years back. He was the trainer for my two kids, my son and my daughter. And I realized he was the guy that played for Emmanuel Baptist back in the day that used to kick Scott's butt. Whenever Scott played Emmanuel, I think it was like once every like 5 years. But anyway, so kind of introduce yourself, how you started in basketball as far as playing for Emmanuel, and then going on to play at West Virginia, and then how you got into coaching.
Yeah, I knew nothing about Emmanuel really. My mom is a woman of faith and wanted me to go to a Christian. People calling her, trying to get me to go to Scott, trying to get me to go to St. John's, and obviously the bigger schools once they realized I could play. But she wasn't having it, so she told me, if God wants you to play, the scouts are gonna find you. So we took the avenue of playing AAU, which was extremely beneficial. I played for Ernie Miller, Darnell Mays for the Toledo Players, and then we went to the big time tournament in Vegas. Everybody goes to, and that's kind of how. That's definitely how I got all my looks. I had a lot of offers. Chose West Virginia, went on a visit. I loved the campus. The fact that they had so many seniors when I was a senior in high school, so I knew my chance to play was high. And it was only 4 and some change away from home. So it wasn't too far, but it was far enough to feel like I was on my own.
All right.
And that was that. So I played my 4 years at West Virginia and came back home. I was playing a little semi-pro, but I would come back home, and when I came back home to Toledo, Teron Gillespie was at Emmanuel. Kind of coaching and running kind of like the junior warriors and things like that. And he was doing some training. Him and Stan Harper was doing some training, and that's what I wanted to do. So when I reached out to Mr. Anir, who was my coach, and told him that I wanted to train, he said, these guys are already doing it. So that's where I met Teron, and welcomed me with open arms, and I started training there, and then from there it just took off. So I was still playing some semi-pro and training whenever I was home, which was
don't skip over semi-pro. I know you keep mentioning this semi-pro, but you keep skipping over the fact that you play for the Toledo Ice. So talk about the Toledo Ice. And
so I did.
Go ahead.
So I did play for the Toledo Ice in the ABA, and what's crazy is like if we would have had the right sponsorship and some money, we had an extremely good team. Some of the local guys, Jeremy King, Aaron Bates, Rob Sanders, Chuck Washington. We had some players. Emeka. We had a nice team, and then we mixed that in with some guys that Melvin Newbern brought in because he was our head coach. We had an extremely good thing going. We just did not have the financial backing like the Glass City Wranglers do. They're doing a great job. But had we had the right backing, we would have had something special for sure in Toledo. So I played for that team, and I also played for a team out of Detroit after that, that had Jimmy King on it, and it was somewhat of the same thing. The ABA is it's hard to get into that semi-pro field if you don't have the right backing, the financial backing.
Right.
But every experience was a great playing experience. I played Australia for a year. Played in the PBL, and that was the last time I played. I ended up playing or stopped playing when I was 33. So I played for off and on for a while. I played for a team in the PBL from West Virginia first, and then ended up getting traded to a team out of Pennsylvania that Chris Commons and Darian that Griffin was playing for. So that team had money. We played our whole season, and we were pretty good. Me playing with those guys was a fun experience, just to be playing with somebody from Toledo, and they can both play. And, it was a great time for sure.
Right. So you trained my son. I've tried to train this guy since he was 5 years old, right? and he's a very difficult person to deal with because he's very comedic. He's
He is.
very not serious. He's a not serious type of
Right.
guy. So I know
Right.
you experienced this at some trainings. How do
Right.
you deal with students like that, student athletes like that, who have the ability and the talent and the skill set, but they don't have the discipline to say focus on getting the job done as far as training? How do you deal with that?
Man, I've always worked with kids. So like the jobs that I've had even up until now, I've always worked with kids. Anywhere from having mental health issues, physical disabilities. Like I've always worked with kids. So in doing that, you kind of learn personalities. You learn
Mm-hmm.
what gets kids to go, what they don't like, what they do like, building that relationship. And that's really everything, is building those relationships. And with your son, that's really all that was with me and him, because so many teachers at the school didn't understand him.
Yep,
And for
exactly.
for them, he was getting in trouble and causing problems, but he just wanted that assertive discipline, but he wanted to know that you cared about him. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the start of that. And once he trusted me, it was easy to train him for sure.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about is gaining that trust. Even as parents, you still have to work
For
on
sure.
gaining that trust with your kids, especially when they become teenagers and they have their own thoughts, they have their own mind, they have their own wants and needs. It's about being not their friend, but being putting an effort to go about understanding where they're coming from, and that's what I had to learn
Absolutely.
to do. And
Absolutely.
as a basketball, I don't think I could ever be a basketball coach. First of all, because I don't have the I don't think I have the patience for it. But I have an understanding for the game. But me and
Right.
him had this relationship on the court to where the same relationship I had with my father on the court. It's like I respect this dude. Like I cannot touch him with a 10-foot pole. That's how good my father was to me. And that's how my son looked at
Hmm.
me. But I'm like, no, Jordan, like you can be better than me. Like I didn't have the
Right.
training that you're getting. I didn't have the discipline to play all 4 years in high school. I stopped playing because I was so mad at my father and mad at everybody. You have the discipline to do it, and he did it. And
Hmm.
that part of that
Yep.
discipline came from you as a coach. And I just want to say I commend you for the patience that you have and the understanding that you have with the student athletes.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Now, when it comes to going into a situation like Clay, they're not a prominently huge basketball program ever. They've never been in the past. When you look at their record over the last 4 years, they haven't won many games. You as
Right.
a coach came in and won 13 games. What did you change coming in? What did you bring, and how did you change the culture at Clay when you came in?
Um, Really the thinking. Um, so like whatever happened before this, I don't know anything about, and it really does not matter. So the clean slate is that we are going to work. We're going to put that work in. We're going to be defensive minded. But then I just start really just setting standards. So standards of, and my expectations of what I wanted from them, needed from them, what I would not accept from them, and then like your team standards and goals, and who I am as a person and who they can be, as a team. And once we start drilling at home, and then again building those relationships. So the first few workouts, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really talking about a lot of basketball. It was more of
Mm.
what I saw in them first. So like where I thought they could help the program, where I thought they could help the school, where I saw them even after basketball, and I got a gauge on who kind of wanted to play in college, who doesn't want to play in college. But for this team, that didn't matter. It was just being the first to create something special and starting a culture of being, the men of respect around the school and community. And then from there, that's when we start, diving into basketball, and the team that we wanted, the tough minded team that we wanted to be.
Right. And you got the award, District Coach of the Year. Congratulations, by the way. What do you
Thank you.
expect? What do you expect out of your team this year and yourself when it comes to not just winning games, but expectations of what goals do you have set for this year?
I mean, definitely to win league is going to be a goal to advance in the tournament. You know, that comes with winning games, but just being a better version than we were last year. So these guys got a chance to see, you know, what the expectations were last year and kind of what worked, what didn't work. So they're hitting the ground running now. I mean, guys show up for workouts. They're not skipping. Communication is everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand things happen. You can't make workouts, but now these guys, they know that they better text me, and they do. I mean, if they're going to be a couple minutes late, they text. If they can't make it, they text. If they miss something that they thought they shouldn't have missed, they text me.
Mm.
So like just having that relationship and those expectations go an extremely long way. And I can probably not show up to the first 15, 20 minutes of our workout, and they are doing
They'll
exactly
be
what they're
there.
supposed to do because
Wow.
y'all. I mean, the guys are leading, and I hadn't even named captains, and the
Wow.
guys that know like what they're supposed to be doing, they'll step up every time. And then so right now, you know, we got freshmen that are new to the program, and you know they goof off like freshmen do, and
Mm-hmm.
before I can even say anything, my seniors are already putting them in their place. And like, this ain't the
That's a
time. This is not
standard.
what we doing. It's not what we about. It's a standard.
Right.
So
It's a
that's
standard
how I
that you
know
set
that, you know,
forth.
it's resonating. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Now, so when we were growing up playing basketball, we played at Putnam Park, we played at City Park, we played at Smith Park, we played at Hydromatic Park. We played at every park available that there was a hoop up. We played at open gym everywhere at Scott, at Libby, at Waite, at Bowser. Every open gym that was open, we played at the YMCA, we played at the Catholic Club, we played at anywhere that there was a hoop game going, we played basketball. It's
Mhm.
different now. People don't go and just let's go hoop. They don't do that now.
Right.
How has the culture changed in with the kids, and how do you get them to focus more on getting to play basketball, getting the workouts in without you being around?
I mean, that's a good question because really, I think that everything that I just named, I, it must have hit home because I like, no lie, before we started this interview, I had a janitor because I work in the building, and I had a
Mm-hmm.
janitor tell me, "You have workouts this morning because you had 5 guys in there shooting." And I said, and I didn't have workouts this morning, but they
Wow.
showed up. I mean, they're always showing up. So I think that them kind of knowing my background, knowing the work that I put in, because they always see me in the gym, whether I'm
Mm-hmm.
working them out or working some other kids out. They know how much development means to me, what it can mean to them, and then what it means to our program. Um, so, I mean, these guys are always texting me like, "Is the gym open? Can I get in the gym?" It could be a holiday. Coach LA, is the gym open? And so, like, I don't, something that I did or something that the previous guys, you know, before them did must have worked because they're just itching to get. I mean, they were so upset in August when there was a no contact period because
Wow.
they couldn't get in the gym with me.
Right.
So that's a sign of some, you know, high character guys and a high quality team.
You do workouts with athletes who are not your kids, right? Or who are not a part of the clay program.
Right.
Does that play an effect of where these kids go, or would that create a conflict with other parents who say, "Hey, you're working out this guy, but he doesn't go to our school, and he's going to play against our school. So what is this?"
I have not experienced that. So I mean,
Okay.
it could be those feelings out there, but they haven't been brought to me. What I wanted to do is make them say, "You working out these other kids, now we need to get in the gym more." So I would
Ah,
hope that that would be how they looked at it. It
right.
hasn't been up until now. Even at Emmanuel, it hadn't been a problem. Um, but I mean, they knew what I did before when I came in, and I told them, I said I'm gonna bring kids in the gym. I'm gonna occupy the gym. So anybody who needs my help, I'm gonna help them.
Right, you're available, so that's a good thing, and that's always a good thing as a basketball coach, that you have the ability to not just coach, you're a trainer. Like you can develop skills. I know a lot of
Mhm.
coaches. I don't bash coaches in the city or anywhere else, are just X and O. You have a skill set
Right.
that you can teach these kids. Like my son is an amazing ball handler at 6'3", and he should be
Yeah.
at 6'3". I'm not. I'm just a shooter. So I
Yeah.
see the development. Like, man, this guy, like, he's if he could shoot like me, he'll be in the pros right now.
Right.
But I just want to say, like, I just want to say, like, or ask, like, where did this, where did the teaching come from? Not just the coaching, but where did the teaching come from?
The training portion.
Yeah, like you're wanting to train. Where did that come from?
Because I didn't have it. I mean, so like I don't even know. Like growing up, I don't even know if we had trainers. We just always
You
played.
didn't.
So
Yeah.
right, exactly.
The
So
train
like for
wait,
me
the
going
trainers were the guys who were older than us who beat us up on the court. Those were the trainers.
absolutely trained by experience, but
Right.
so not having that and then going to West Virginia and then seeing how behind I was and how many things like if I would have
Mm.
known this going into this situation, I'd have been way better. Um, because when I left after West Virginia, I became a way better player. Like I was way better after West Virginia, just
Wow.
because I did play in a smaller league, and in Toledo, I was good, but it took for me to go to that Power Five and to see how good everybody is around the country on a consistent night in, night out basis that I lacked a lot of things. So when I started training, I don't want another kid, from my city to have to experience that. Like it's no need for them to, if they get a chance to play in college, to go in there unprepared.
Right.
So that's what really got me. That's what really got me training.
Do you feel that individual training plays in has any kind of effect on how guys play as a team? Because I know you do things different. There's a lot of guys who train individually, but never do put any team concepts into their training. When I see you train, I see you do more than just individual. I see you do team concepts in your training.
Right.
Do you ever experience or had a player who had a training from someone else and had just that individual, like, I'm just going to handle the ball and take the ball to the cup because this is what I'm trained to do?
Um. Yeah. I mean, that's certain. Some guys and girls too think like that, but like you said, I don't train that way, and I also don't give them a false sense of reality. So I tell
Mm-hmm.
them, if when you go in college, they already have people in college averaging 20 and 30 points. So your training is coming for the reason why I'm training you the way I'm training you, so you can be efficient. So when you do get a
Mm,
chance to get that catch and shoot, and you're waiting for that catch and shoot, that you're shooting at a high percentage or at a high clip. So when you do make your move, you're making an efficient move, strong to the basket, and you know what move to use and how to finish. So I'm not training you to average 30 points. I'm training you to be an efficient all-around basketball player. So that's why we do a lot of drills where, you might break somebody down and then game you kick the ball out, but now you got to relocate. So now you got to relocate.
right.
You might set a screen, then you come off a screen, and then you catch and shoot. So it's more than just, you're not just thinking about me making a move on this cone, doing 55 moves and then shooting the ball. That's not realistic. Like you have to do
Yeah.
things like you would in the game. So that's why we always work on all aspects of the game.
When it comes to defense, um, where is the level of like what how do you concentrate on defense? Like, What's your focus as far
for
as
individual
a,
team.
as a team? As a team, like
Um,
when I play, for example, I played for Scott, and
right.
we ran the press from quarter one to quarter four, full court press, half court press, from quarter one to quarter four. How is your
Right.
what's your focus when it comes to defense?
A lot of pressure. Um, keeping the ball out of the middle. Really creating chaos. So for us, it's not chaos, but for the other team, we want to
For the other
create
team,
chaos for sure. Because you'll play against teams that have a good player or two. I mean, it's going to be kind of rare that the whole lineup are playmakers, right? So
mm-hmm.
you had to. I teach my guys that we have to make the other team uncomfortable. We have to make other guys that don't want to make decisions with the ball make decisions with the ball. So a lot of times we do a pretty good job of taking that guy or two away. I mean, of course, if you're good, you're gonna score the ball, but
Right.
we want to make sure that we are making the other team as uncomfortable as possible. Um, and then the reason why my teams typically play kind of free is because I stress defense so much. I don't yell at them too much on offense. Now, every now and then, they're gonna take some bad shots, and depending on who it is, and if we've talked about it before, you're not supposed to take that shot. But I let my teams play on offense because I want everything on defense.
Wow.
So that's not to say that they're playing, open gym or pickup ball. I mean, we still gonna run sets, but
Right.
I yell at them more about a misassignment on defense than I would than a misassignment or a bad shot on offense for sure.
Now, when I look back and when Jordan was at Emmanuel, it was so frustrating. This is before you became head coach, so this is before you were on the actual coaching staff. You were still training.
Right.
It was so frustrating because it was a game against Cardinal Stritch, and they were down by 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they're meeting Cardinal Stritch at half court playing a zone down by 10. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute now. I'm not nothing against Coach Rainier or the other coaches, but I'm
Right.
thinking to myself, if this was Scott and we're down by 10, I'm pressuring when the ball gets entered into play. I'm full court because I want that 10 points back. Fourth quarter, I really
Right.
want that 10 points back now. Like, what's
Mm-hmm.
what's the difference between the thinking of at Emmanuel when you were assistant to when you became head coach? What did you try to change there when it comes to the culture? Because the culture was different once you became head
Right.
coach. It drastically changed. So what did you change mentally with the players when you became head coach?
Kind of just what I said, like with the on the offensive end, I'm not yelling at you for the shot you're taking. Defensively, like I'm a coach that I don't mind taking risks. So like,
Mm-hmm.
there's some coaches that don't make certain adjustments because they feel like, well, we're not ready.
Yeah,
I don't
that
think
was
like
that
that.
was the answer that I got. That was the answer that the actual answer that I got from coach. Like they're not
Oh,
ready
okay,
to do
yes,
that.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I don't mind taking those risks. I mean, I don't mind if we haven't practiced a 1-3-1 all week. We're still gonna throw that in because I'm more I'm I'm more confident in me throwing my guys in that 1-3-1 because of the way I teach defense
Mm-hmm.
than I am of a team being ready for us to throw them in that put them play against that 1-3-1. So for me, I don't mind. I don't mind taking risks at all. And then another thing is, um, I have confidence in my guys. So like sometimes you just don't have the athletes to match up with certain athletes,
Right.
but
Yep.
you still have to make them confident enough to feel like they can. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. Like, we played Whitmer last year, and Whitmer is Whitmer. And of course, across the board, we can't match up with them. But we still have to go out and put them in situations where it appears at least that we are confident and we're playing with you. And
Right.
that's why I tell my guys, I mean, you played against these guys before. Like, go out there and sit down on defense and give them some resistance. So I mean, that's really the big thing for me is that, you know, we'll try it. I mean, if it don't work, then we'll just change it back. But I mean, you don't know it unless you try.
Yeah, is you giving them even if they're not ready, give them the confidence to feel that they are ready, because they only
For
have
sure.
one chance to play this team, one chance to play this game. Why not go all out? Because what are you going to lose? You're not gaining nothing
Right.
by holding them back. So what are you going to lose by letting them go?
Right.
That's how I always feel.
Right.
Now, me and Mike Jock a couple weeks ago talked about NIL. NIL is available in other states, like 32 other states. Ohio is not one of
Mm-hmm.
them. And a lot of this is in high school. High school players who are
Mm-hmm.
getting NIL deals. Do you feel that this will create an issue, because there are Ohio players like Nate Miles, the third or junior, whatever his sub name is, but he's he's moving to another state to play basketball because they have prep schools who give these kind of benefits. How do you feel that
Right.
is going to affect Ohio basketball, and should that be something that Ohio basketball look into?
I think if one state does it, I think they all should do it. So like I mean it kills me even with the simplest rules, even with us having like a no contact period. Everybody doesn't have that. Like I feel
Oh,
like
wow.
whatever one state does, or definitely the majority does, everybody should be doing. Just because when they get to college, they're all gonna be on the same, you know, playing field.
Right.
I think that more so like the NIL, of course, you know, everybody wants the money aspect of it, but I think that the exposure and everything else that comes with it, I think that these prep schools definitely offer more than we can offer on that side of, you know, why Nate and why some of these other, you know, kids are choosing to go prep. I know that's what he told me. He said that, you know, he really wanted the exposure and he wants to play against that type of competition every single night. And
Mm,
in Toledo, you're just not going to get that. I mean, we have good coaches, we have good players,
right.
but every single night you're not playing against 4-star, 5-star players. It's just not happening. So I mean, for guys that can afford to do that, and by that I don't mean financially, I mean afford to, that where they're physically ready and they can kind of blend in and not be overwhelmed by, you know, the type of
Hmm.
talent and competition they're playing. I think that's a good move.
I think players like Mikey Williams kind of changed how you look at high school players, and Scoot Henderson, because Scoot went from not finishing high school to going to play for overtime, who played in the Ignite G League.
Right.
So players like that who are that good should not be held back and say, okay, you got to stay in play for the city league or the track league or the NLL league, because now they're going to look like they're too good for this league. So to go to another league, it's beneficial for them to be able to play against somebody on that level and see how good they really are.
For sure. I
Uh,
mean, and on top of that too, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like
no, go ahead.
even with Nate, I think Nate right now is a 4-star. There's no way him
Mm,
staying here, definitely playing at Emmanuel, is going to get him to being a 5-star recruit. Um, and then when you want to play in these Power Fives, that's kind of what you need. Now you don't have to be a 5-star to play Power Five, but if you want
mm-hmm,
to play T25 Power Five, which is, you know, those top 25 schools and the schools that get the TV deals and the schedule where they're always on TV, and then that's where the money comes in, you need to be a 5-star recruit. I mean, because these schools
right.
want to sign 5-star players. So for him, I understood why he left. I mean, I understand that he wants to go from 4-star to 5-star, and he wants to play at one of these major universities. So I mean, that's definitely a good move for him.
And I think that's what changed when it comes to local leagues like city league play. We talk about city league play a lot on our podcast, because we look back and we look at players like players like Nashawn Coleman, Jermaine Tate, Jim Jackson, Dennis Hobson, Melvin Newbern, even going back to Truman Claytor, Kelvin Ramsey.
Oh
Terry
yeah,
Crosby. Those guys played in the city league, and they were big time stars. They
for
played with the
sure.
best players when they went to the next level. And now you don't see that. You haven't seen that in since William Buford.
Yeah,
Players who were that good and could play on the next level and even in the pro level. I
right.
think the reason is because most of these players are leaving Toledo schools and going to these prep schools. And I don't fault them for it, but the competition of the city league is not there. I don't think it will ever get back to that because of how these prep schools are moving players.
Right. Right. I agree. I definitely agree.
Now, will will Toledo ever produce? This is just your opinion. Will Toledo ever produce a pro player who stays in a city league school, go to college, and then become pro?
Ever? That's tough. I don't like you said. The way everything is going now, like with the prep schools and NILs, I don't think so. And I don't even know. Even taking that away, I don't know if the city league can keep schools from not. I mean, can keep players from even not going to a St. John's or Central or NLL
Right.
school. Or I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
it's just different now because back then, like you said, everybody said, Lionel, you got to go to Scott. You got to play for Scott. Scott is the juggernaut when it comes to basketball. You got to play for Scott. Scott won state championships. Matt Cumber's not there anymore. You got to play for Scott. And that was the thing. All the good players left. Even players left Libby to go play for Scott.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not the case anymore because it's not because the coaches aren't taking care of the players. It's because the players now it's just like in life, teenagers now look at opportunities. They don't just say,
Mhm.
"Mom and Dad, what do I do?" They say, "Mom, this is the opportunity I have. This is what I can do with it, and this is where I can go with taking this opportunity." So now they're
Right.
presenting it to us. That's
Right.
that's where the culture shift is. Like now, these kids are smarter than what we were growing up.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a fault of
Right.
anybody. It's just that's the way life is now. When it comes to smart devices and all, they have all the information right there in front of them.
Right.
Where do
Yeah,
you
I agree.
see where do you see this going as far as player development? When it comes to players with all this information, where do you see them getting where as a coach? I'm trying to figure out how to word this question. Like where do you see or how does this affect player development when they have all this information in front of them? Cell phones, iPads, laptops.
I mean, I don't think it affects it. Definitely, definitely doesn't affect it in a negative way. I mean, I think that's why there's
Right.
so many more, like more people, players, and more people actually training now. Because even with trainers, like they post every single thing on Instagram or TikTok. So now all these kids are seeing it. So some kids are training just because they see other people, like the Mikey
Mm-hmm.
Williams or whoever else training. They might not even understand the real reason behind why they should train. They definitely don't know what they should be working on or what a coach is
Right.
looking for, but they know that it looks cool for me to have highlights on social media with the music and everything else, hyping my name and my videos up. So like that's just another way of the world now and how social media is used. So I think that, trainers need to do a better job. And I'm not saying I don't know I stay in my own little bubble, but I see certain things and I see how some trainers train, and it does look sweet on Instagram and all of that.
Right.
I would just hope that they are keeping it real with the players that they're training, and that they are working on things that they could use every single game that they play, and not just in a situation from time to time.
All right. We got like 5 minutes left, and I got some random questions, and
All right.
some top 5, top 10 questions for you.
Okay.
So, first question is favorite NBA team.
Now or ever?
Well, now and ever, because I got one now and I got one forever. So my
Now.
team now is obviously the Celtics, and my team back in the '90s were the Bulls. So
Yeah, I'm definitely a Bulls for sure. Was a Bulls fan because I think Michael Jordan's the best player to ever touch a basketball. So for me, that was the Bulls back then. Now I can't even lie. This past season, I probably didn't watch anything except for like the finals because like it's
wow,
I can enjoy talent and individual players, but like I just don't like the way the NBA ball is played.
you know what? And as much as I love the Celtics, I think I watched maybe 3 regular season games at most, and then watched the playoffs. That's it. And
Yes.
I can't get into NBA basketball anymore. I can watch more college women's and college and WNBA more than I can watch NBA,
Oh, for
and
sure.
that's just real. That's just how it is. The women's brand of basketball in college and in pros is more fundamental, and more fun to watch. That's
Yeah,
it.
because of that reason. Because they're playing and they're making plays not based off of being athletic, but based off of
Yep.
just making the right play.
Yep. So you said Jordan is the greatest player of all time. That's your goat.
Yeah,
A
hands
lot
down,
of people are saying
hands down.
LeBron. A lot of
I
people are
hear it,
saying
and that's
LeBron, and I'm not a Jordan. I'm a Jordan fan. If I can show you my wall, I have posters of Jordan everywhere. I see your Jordan poster up there.
yeah.
Uh, who will be your top 5 players of all time?
My top player. So mine would be obviously Jordan, probably Allen Iverson, Kobe, um, Steve Francis. I love Steve
Hmm.
Francis. Um, and probably Magic. Is that 5?
Wow. So no LeBron. Not
No,
really a
not in my
LeBron
top
fan,
five.
or he's just not in your top
No,
5.
I think he's great. I think he's great. I think he's probably in like definitely in the top 3 ever to play. But for me, it's just certain things that bother me about his game. Like I don't understand why he can't make free throws.
Mm.
I don't understand why every time like when he goes right is way different than when he goes left. So when he goes left, like he's not really going to finish strong at the basket. He's going to shoot a pull up, fade away, something like that. When he goes right, he'll finish strong at the basket. Like these things that if other pros either just haven't figured out or they just no matter what they just can't stop it. And then I just never thought he really had that killer he wasn't a killer like Mike and Kobe. I mean, and that's not he still gets the job done, but I think
Hmm.
that he would have had a couple more notches had he just had that just killer in him. Now, as far as
Yeah.
him being an athlete and everything he's done from the time he's been in high school up until now, I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, with his family and his wife, and he's
Right.
you never hear about him cheating. He's he married his high school sweetheart. He makes money hand over fist because he's a great businessman, great role model. I mean, he does. You can tell he cares about people. So as far as
Right.
that goes, I think he's the GOAT for sure. But he's just
Yeah,
not my
and
favorite player to watch.
that was my argument with LeBron. Is like he's the GOAT as far as he accomplished more in his 22 years, I would say 26 years, including high school, of basketball than any other player in basketball history. But as far
For
as
sure.
the greatest player on the to touch a basketball on and winning, that's got to be Michael Jordan. If you go back and look at 1980 from 1984 to 1990, that Michael Jordan is unstoppable. Like nobody can touch that Michael Jordan. Even though he couldn't dribble to his left, he was still unstoppable
Right.
because he could finish with either hand, but he couldn't dribble to his left more than 2 or 3 dribbles. But he didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last question. Last question is who's your favorite or who's your top 5 NBA players playing now?
Playing now. Kyrie. I love watching Kyrie. I just think what he does at his size,
Yeah.
the last person to do that would probably be Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kevin Durant, LeBron, Jokic.
Mm.
I think he makes everybody around him better. I think he cries a little bit, but I still think he makes everybody around him better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know that fifth one. That fifth one's out there in the air. I'll give it to Ant Man. It would have been Ja, but Ja got too much going
You
on.
got to work out his
Um,
personals.
yeah, he got too much going on, but he would have been one of the biggest talents for sure. But Ant Man is pretty special though. I mean, the fact that his jump shot is getting better.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's gonna be special.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time. How can people reach out to you as far as training and if they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, I got a Instagram and Facebook Lab Impact. Um, just type in Lab Impact, and it has my phone number there. And obviously, you can DM me. Um, so yeah, reach out. Text me, DM me, whatever you need to do, and I'm in the gym 24/7. Like I'm always in the gym. So
Man, I
that'd be
need
the
to come
best
to the
way.
gym.
I'm always here, man. Always.
Man, I appreciate your time and good luck this year with the team. And hopefully we can do this again.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yep, no problem.